The smell of burnt corn is something you never really forget. But for me, it's not the smell of loss. It's the smell of a $2 million mistake made by the most self-entitled woman I've ever met. A mistake that turned my quiet retirement into a federal criminal investigation. And ultimately, the best investment of my life. I'm Ethan Vance, 50-something. And 6 months ago, I was done with corporate life. 25 years as a chemical engineer for a massive agro-conglomerate left me with nothing but a fat settlement check and a deep, soul-crushing hatred for spreadsheets. When my eccentric great-uncle, Silas the Seed Vance, left me his 40-acre farm outside of Greenwood, Iowa, I felt like I'd won the lottery. I mean prime, black Iowa soil, the kind that smells like rain and endless possibility. My wife, Sarah, a librarian who traded suburban book clubs for the sound of silence, was thrilled. Our teenage son, Leo, just rolled his eyes, but secretly loved having space to fly his drone without running into Mrs. Henderson's prize-winning petunias. What the suits at my old job didn't know was that Uncle Silas was more than just an old man hoarding seeds. Tucked away in his dusty farmhouse, he'd preserved 12 strains of rare heirloom corn, varieties like Cherokee Long Ear and Glass Gem Jewel, genetics that hadn't been seen in any research lab since the Jazz Age. I immediately partnered with Dr. Anya Sharma at the Iowa State Agricultural Extension. Her excitement was electrifying, practically rattling my phone. She explained that these wasn't just pretty corn, this was a treasure map of unique genetic material, potentially holding keys to drought resistance or pharmaceutical compounds. That's when she dropped the bombshell about the insurance. Forget commodity prices. This wasn't regular corn. Because it was part of a federally recognized heritage seed preservation program, its value was assessed not by the bushel, but by its irreplaceable research potential. My annual premium, which felt steep at $3,000, was actually protecting a genetic library insured for $2.1 million. Yeah. That sweet little hobby farm was basically an underground vault of agricultural history. And then she arrived, enter Veronica Ronnie Thorne, the self-crowned queen of Willow Creek Estates HOA, 45, freshly divorced, and radiating the kind of manic energy that could power a small city. A small, passive-aggressive city, that is. She cornered me during week 1, right by the mailbox, reeking of cheap vanilla lotion and barely contained rage. She had that voice, too. The one that sounds like a smoke detector having an existential crisis. "Mr. Vance," she declared, her eyes narrowing, "I'm sure you're unaware that active agricultural operations significantly impact the established aesthetics and, more importantly, the property values of our exclusive residential community." I just looked at her, then gestured over her shoulder toward my thriving emerald rows of corn, and then across the road at the tired, black soil that's been farmed continuously since 1865. "Ma'am," I said, a little too calmly, "your subdivision has existed since 2018. This land has been farmed since before the invention of the tractor. I believe history trumps your HOA bylaws." She just flashed me a smile that could freeze molten lava. "We'll just see about that, won't we?" The campaign launched immediately. Noise complaints about my '78 International Harvester running at 6:30 a.m. Apparently, the sweet rumble of a perfectly tuned diesel engine violates delicate suburban sensibilities. Zoning violations for unauthorized commercial agriculture. Anonymous EPA tips about my completely organic no-spray operation. Every single complaint was dismissed the moment the county clerk saw the words University Research Partnership and grandfathered agricultural status. But Ronnie wasn't the type to quit. She escalated. My security cameras, which I installed after I caught her Pomeranian, the neurotic beast, yapping endlessly at my fence line, soon captured something more sinister. I found fresh boot prints leading from her yard directly into my field, and over 200 stalks of my rare Hopi blue flower variety were suffering from perfectly rectangular, suspiciously intentional herbicide damage. I confronted her, finding her watering her petunias with the nervous intensity of Lady Macbeth scrubbing a bloodstain. "Herbicide damage?" she said, batting her mascara-caked eyelashes. "That's just overspray from my dandelion treatment." Ronnie, I replied, leaning on my fence. Dandelions don't grow in a perfect 40-foot rectangle that spells out move when viewed from your upstairs window. I'm not accusing you of lying, I'm calling you creatively destructive. That conversation clarified everything. This woman was not just a busybody. She was unhinged, and she was desperate. And then Sarah, my librarian-turned-detective wife, hit pay dirt, digging through courthouse records with the methodical precision of someone tracking down a rare manuscript. She found what fueled Ronnie's mania. Ronnie's property purchase was subject to an undisclosed environmental disclosure. The previous owner had run an auto repair shop for 15 years, dumping solvents and heavy metals in the backyard. The soil samples would likely reveal contamination requiring a mandated $90,000 remediation. Her environmental anxiety wasn't about my corn. It was about her own toxic legacy literally buried beneath her begonias. Armed with this, I requested a township environmental inspection. Ronnie fought it tooth and nail, sending her cousin, a lawyer of course, to issue threats. But the environmental officer, Chuck the Marine Kowalski, proceeded anyway. Chuck's soil testing quickly confirmed the contamination, $90,000 cleanup, and the property was temporarily deemed uninhabitable. Her desperation went nuclear. Her balloon mortgage payment was about to adjust from $1,200 to $4,000 a month. No bank would touch a contaminated, federally investigated property. She was facing financial ruin, and desperate people, as my insurance agent Maya Patel warned me, make monumentally stupid decisions. Ronnie launched her final fatal strategy. She tried to frame me. Night vision footage showed her attempting to dump used motor oil near my irrigation system, hoping to claim my toxic farming methods had caused the contamination. But what the FBI's Agricultural Crime Unit, yes, that's a real thing, and yes, they were now monitoring my farm, found was something else entirely. The corn was not just insured. Intentional destruction of a federally insured heritage crop is considered agricultural terrorism. Maya explained the penalties, up to 20 years in federal prison and restitution up to 3 times the actual damages, potentially exceeding $8 million due to the loss of irreplaceable genetic sequencing. My security measures, initially just a nuisance for Ronnie, became her downfall. Her every move was documented. The release of illegally transported European corn borer insects, a federal bioterrorism charge. The attempted bribery of a township official, her ethically challenged cousin Garrett, and the systematic creation of fake social media accounts to spread rumors about my chemical pollution. Every action, every lie, every desperate scam was meticulously tracked, building a federal case that would be taught in law schools for decades. The climax arrived on the eve of the Greenwood County Agricultural Heritage Festival. Wiretaps confirmed Ronnie's final, scorched earth plan. She and 2 hired hands were going to torch my entire seed bank and remaining stalks, blaming it on faulty farm equipment, while Sarah, Leo, and I were at the festival. It was supposed to be her alibi and her final cleansing act of property value preservation, but the FBI doesn't wait for a good alibi. At exactly 11:47 p.m., just as they were dousing the stored heirloom seeds with gasoline, federal agents and local law enforcement moved in. They were caught red-handed, the gasoline can seized, and the fire extinguished before it could damage more than a few dozen stalks. The genetic treasures were safe. The next morning at the Heritage Festival, the surreal contrast was breathtaking. The air was crisp, the sun was shining, and over 500 people, including state officials and university researchers, were gathered around my exhibition. And then, in a final act of unbelievable audacity, Ronnie, released on emergency bail, showed up. She stormed the stage looking like a suburban banshee, grabbing the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, you are being deceived," she shrieked, her voice reaching that ear-splitting smoke detector frequency. "This man is a criminal contaminating our community while defrauding federal grant programs." The crowd was stunned, but only for a second. Dr. Sharma, the head researcher, stepped forward with the calm authority of pure science. "Ma'am," she stated clearly into the microphone, "genetic sequencing has confirmed that Mr. Vance's work has recovered 3 corn varieties, thought extinct since the 1890s. His research has secured federal grants totaling $2.8 million for seed preservation. And then, Agent Sarah Chen of the FBI Agricultural Crime Unit walked onto the stage. The silence was absolute. "Ladies and gentlemen," Agent Chen announced, her voice firm and professional. Federal charges filed against Ms. Thorne and her co-conspirators include agricultural terrorism, insurance fraud, environmental evidence tampering, and conspiracy to commit domestic terrorism. The attempted destruction would have eliminated irreplaceable agricultural genetic material valued at over $8 million. The crowd erupted. It wasn't just applause. It was the sound of 500 rural voices, farmers, researchers, and families, applauding the triumph of community, science, and common sense over pure, toxic entitlement. As federal marshals led Ronnie away in handcuffs, her final scream of protest was swallowed by the celebration. The sight of her, the self-proclaimed guardian of property values, being hauled off to face decades in federal prison, her toxic property forfeited to fund my research center. While my $2.1 million crop insurance policy was validated, was honestly the most satisfying moment of my life. 6 months later, the Silas Vance Heritage Seed Center is up and running, a world-class facility funded by the insurance settlement and federal grants, now employing 40 researchers. My wife runs the Agricultural History Library, and Leo is applying to the Iowa State Ag Engineering Program, inspired by the genetic preservation work. What started as one woman's vicious, selfish campaign of suburban terrorism became the very catalyst for agricultural innovation that will benefit this community and the entire nation for generations. So tell me, if you had a Ronnie Thorne trying to torch your retirement dreams for the sake of aesthetics, how far would you go to prove them wrong? Did justice get served, or should she have paid more? Drop your own HOA nightmare stories or your thoughts on where the line should be drawn in the comments below. And if you learned something about heritage crop insurance or the FBI's priorities today, hit that subscribe button, because the world is full of crazy stories and we're just getting started.
Welcome to HOA Stories, where inspiration transforms into life strength. These are not just stories. They are your daily dose of spiritual medicine. HOA. HOA. Stories Bowl. We curate resonant journeys, profound lessons, and extraordinary victories from around the world. Each video is meticulously designed to uplift your spirit, ignite your passion, and provide the most practical insights for your breakthrough development. Whether you are overcoming adversity, pursuing a big dream, or simply need a kind act to restore your faith in life, we are here to affirm. Every challenge contains a lesson, and every limit can be broken. Don't just watch, take action. Join us in exploring and enriching your life. Today, hit subscribe and turn on notifications to receive a daily source of inspiration and motivation.